there. Welcome to Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerialist podcast. How you guys doing today? Thanks for tuning in. I'd love to start by saying there's a free gift for you in the show notes. Go ahead and click there and you will be signed up to get my ebook, Understanding Aerial Silks, for free. It is designed to be a companion to your training, and I just wanted to offer that to you guys to show my love and appreciation for this community. All right, so today I have my friend Gayle Steffans on the podcast. She is a Myo-Fascia release expert. We're going to talk all about fascia, what it is. It can be a mysterious thing that people don't really know, so she's going to get into it, explain exactly what it is and how it works, and its role in the body, and what happens when our belly grows in pregnancy and when the baby comes out. What happens to our fascia then? So this is actually really important because it affects how our training is later. It affects how our bodies look after. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty and have some funny stories along the way. Okay, guys, let's get started. So Gayle is a lot of things. She's currently in her second trimester of her second pregnancy. She's also got a stepson who is now how old?
He'll be 13 in October.
Holy moly. Yep. He's going to be 13. And then her son, Ethan, is 8, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And then she's pregnant with a new bundle of Joy, who's also a boy.
Mm-hmm.
When Gayle told me she was having a boy, I laughed so hard that my face turned red. Because she's going to have 3 boys plus her husband.
Oh, boy.
Who is also quite childlike at times. Although he's really a responsible dude. He's my bro. Like, he's Chinese, Japanese. And it's like we're the same person, but I'm a girl and he's a boy. This is really interesting for the pod. So, Gayle.
Yes.
For the listeners here, can you tell me, she's also my aerial student. Yep. And can you tell me maybe a favorite birth story of yours or anything from Ethan when you gave birth or when you were pregnant, just any story that might be fun or informative for the listeners?
Well, I would definitely suggest not having spicy miso ramen when you're having pre-labor contractions. Didn't realize that was actually happening. I just thought it was Braxton Hicks.
Okay.
Definitely don't do that.
What happened?
Well, later on, so I had spicy miso ramen and then went to bed, and 2 o'clock in the morning, my water broke and I spent a good first portion of my labor on the toilet, and it was horrendous, the smell.
Like explosive diarrhea?
It was awful. And I felt so bad.
Oh my God.
For everybody. Now, we were birthing at home.
Sorry.
We birthed at home. And so now everybody's stuck. Our bedroom's right next to the bathroom. Now everybody's stuck with this. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry.
Why are you sorry? You're birthing the child.
The smell. The smell of spicy miso ramen poo. It's terrible.
Did you open the windows?
I'm sure I wasn't paying attention to windows.
Listen, you're giving birth to a child. You need to apologize for absolutely nothing. And knowing Panda, that's what I call her husband, is going to love this because the smells that him and the other 2 boys create in that toilet.
Oh boy.
Listen, there's nothing for you to apologize for. I smelled those smells. Those are not good smells. I love that that's the story you told. It's amazing. I also have explosive diarrhea during pregnancy stories, but we're going to get there. I was going to tell that story on the when I have Dr. April Douglas in to talk about pelvic floor. That's when I'm going to tell that story. So my listeners are waiting with bated breath for that. So
I bet.
So Gayle is like all the things for this podcast. She's pregnant now. She's been pregnant. She spent many years as a silk student of mine and is gorgeous up there. She's got this very long, lithe body, very, very graceful for a non-dancer. Didn't really do this stuff before. But the reason why I have her here to help us know things that will be helpful is because she is a myofascial release specialist. She's been a masseuse for many, many years. Mm-hmm. You're training in Stecco, which is an Italian doctor who has this myofascial release technique / theory / method. I've done 6 years of myofascial release work that she's done on me, and it has changed my body. Of course, now I have a lot of those problems cropping up because I haven't had anybody work on me for a year. Gayle, let's get into the nitty-gritty a little bit.
Okay.
Can you start by defining what myofascia is and its role in the body for us?
Sure. Well, myo and fascia are kind of two words smushed into one. Myo meaning muscle, and fascia is obviously the fascia. So myofascial work would be working with the muscle and fascia together. So it's not separating muscle from the fascia, and it's seeing it more as one, which technically it kind of is, because the fascia is wrapping the muscle, going through the muscle. It's wrapping every single cell tissue down to the cell, right? Fascia itself is defined medically as certain sheets of biological fabric inside the body. So the body is held together by this big ol' web, very strong web. It's stronger than spider webs. It's collagen fibers with this nice gooey stuff. That's what I.
You sound so smart right now. Do you know that?
That's nice because I'm shaking with nervousness.
Stop.
My palms are sweating, Carrie.
When you say myofascial release, I feel like there's a lot of like, what is that really? And honestly, it's a lot of things, because it's the same. Think about the word massage. You can do a massage in a million different ways. So myofascial release from one practitioner versus another can be very, very different. So for the listeners out there, just don't think of it as a one type of technique.
No, thanks for saying that, Carrie. Thanks for saying that, because it's so true.
Yeah, it's so true, and I don't want people to get confused. So also, how is myofascial release as a entire chunk different from regular massage? It's kind of like saying, how is Pilates different than yoga? Because it's a whole thing, can be done in a million different ways. But what is the baseline difference between myofascial release and regular massage?
Like you said before, technically, when you touch the body in any one of those modalities, you are essentially working with fascia, just because it's so interwoven with everything. Everything. Your viscera, like all of your organs, everything's wrapped within fascia. When I'm working specifically with somebody's fascia, which is going to involve muscle because they're intertwined, I'm looking for areas that are not gliding. You can feel that the tissue has more of a dense texture. Our skin, if you were to kind of pinch your skin and on your forearm and kind of move it back and forth, it's supposed to be able to glide, and if you continue to move into different places on that arm, you might notice some areas aren't gliding as well as others. You might notice little bundles or areas that are snappy, that feel like they're more of a chunk. unless
we use the word crunchy too. Crunchy, like it seems really crunchy.
Yeah, and you know what? That's just different areas on the body. So the fascia is different in the limbs as it is in the torso, due to layers, and also due to how the fascia decides how it is to be there to structurally support your body. So your IT band, that fascia, the IT band is this interwoven fascia. It's so thick. That doesn't feel like the fascia that's on my abdomen, right? Because it needs to be structurally sound versus able to really be able to flex and move. So I'm looking for those areas that are not gliding, and my goal is to rehydrate them. Then I will create a friction, and this friction is going to kind of warm up those crystallized honeys in there, and within the friction, it's going to start to create more glide. That fascial release is how I work. I work with those bundles, those areas of dehydration, and my goal is to help restore the glide. But I also don't go into just that one spot, because the fascia is this web that's over your entire body. If I affect something in the shoulder, that could go directly and relate into the hip. So I'm working more on, I'm looking at you as a whole, seeing, okay, well, this area of your body's not really moving. Is it really that area, or is it coming from somewhere else, the tensegrity in somewhere else in your body? You know, could it be an ankle injury? Could it be a hip thing? So I'm kind of working this line, this plane of fascial tension in order to restore glide and functionality.
And when she says restore glide, what that turns into is pain relief. I have chronic neck pain, and it's usually because I'm overusing my arms in aerial and my chest. Okay? So that's usually where the pain shows up. Like I feel like I always have to crack my neck, and it's on the left side all the time. And every single time she's worked on me, it either comes from a fascia bundles being too tight in the front of my chest or down my left arm usually. Okay, so talk about, I come in, I lay down, you start on me. What is the process of trying to figure out how to alleviate that neck pain for me?
She is showing me her movement. She's showing me where her site of pain is. She's telling me everything that she's been up to and doing, and I take that all into account. And again, I'm looking for where's her imbalance. So if she's feeling the tension on the left side, is that due to an actual pain or bundle there, or is it due to the lack of her using her non-dominant side? Do we need to alleviate some of this tension on the overuse side? Does she need to start using this left side more? But I really just go into, okay, how is her arm rotating? Thinking of like kind of feeling my way down from the head into the sides of the neck, front of the neck, into the front of the chest. And again, I'm just really looking for in her body, which is for me not a typical body.
Tell people what my body is like, please.
I apologize to if there are vegans out there. Think about a sausage, and think about that casing around the sausage. Now imagine that you just keep filling that sausage casing, and it's super packed tight, and oh God, you can just look at it and you can see it stretching to the seams. Even a pregnant belly, you know, you can really, it's really pushing from the inside out. And so with Carrie, when I was working with her, she had a lot of inflammation due to overuse, emotional stress, and gut issues. Can you imagine? You have like the full pyramid of inflammation happening within your body. So it kind of felt a little sticky all over, a little, at times you could definitely feel the the inflammation as puffiness, just underneath the surface puffiness. You know, she didn't look like she was swollen at all, but it was a puffiness underneath, right underneath the skin. And just densifications throughout the intercostals, like in between the ribs. Underneath.
Oh, that was the freaking worst.
It really is.
The worst pain. The worst pain ever was the front of my chest when you would release those bundles, maybe for the first, second, third, fourth time.
Yeah.
The freaking worst. It feels like somebody's putting a knife through your intercostals.
And a lot of times you'll also get a really burning sensation, or I say that it makes fascial work for me. It doesn't feel like normal massage because fascial work makes you sweat funny. It's such a visceral feeling. It's so integral with your body. Like your nerves are so intertwined that, oh my gosh, you're going to be like, why is my inner thigh sweating? You know, why am I sweating?
Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah. Because, you know, like you're working on the spot on my chest and it starts radiating all the way down my leg and to my toes because that's where the line is going. That's where the energy is. That's the path of the energy. And there's a reason why the myofascia work is so important, because when you go for a massage, you're obviously working with the myofascia because it's everywhere. But, you know, myofascia release is not about releasing, okay, this is your hamstring. We're going to get rid of your quote unquote knots, which I don't even know what that means exactly. This is about getting your saran wrap to glide and release so that you can move your joints.
Yes, exactly. Because it's not, so knots is kind of not a very good term because it's not something that you can untie. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we're working through that whole entire line, but to some people, the fascia is this considered a proprioceptive organ, and proprioception is where your body is in space. So the nerves, your nerves, which is also why you're feeling that burning feeling or those really intense sensations, is because as we work through the fascia, we're opening it. You know, you could say micro tearing, but it's not really, it is. But it's in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way, because we're using that motion, that work, and then your body has its way of healing where it's going to add, when you stretch the fascia like that, it adds more space. The body adds more fascia.
More elasticity and more fascia.
Well, the elasticity is within the fibers themselves and how you're training it, right?
Okay.
So if I get fascia work done and then I'm going to go do nothing or curl up in a ball somewhere for a week
and cry,
then I'm going to have a curled up in a ball and not worked body. But if I put load on my body, and I'm not saying if you get fascia work to go out and go run a marathon and lift like 1,000 pounds, you're going to probably hurt yourself doing that. But your fascia is going to adapt to how you load it, right? So if you, like for you, Carrie, you get worked on.
You'd always tell me, I'd be like, well, I have to teach a class in the morning. You'd be like, cool, go do it.
Right. Definitely keep up with your life. I wouldn't, right after fascia work, just like right after a yoga, like hard stretching, heat-filled yoga class, you're not going to go out and do the hardest thing that your body's done because you're more prone to injury because you've lengthened things. The body needs that time to spindle together and strengthen those stretched out fascia fibers, right? Because you're reorganizing the fascia.
Okay, I want to step back actually.
Sure.
So if you're out there trying to imagine how Gayle is working on me, she's using her thumbs, she's using her fingers and her elbows and her forearms. It's not like a whole-handed palm into the muscle. It is not. It is very sharp and it's very direct. Mm-hmm. So basically, you know, there's always for an aerial body, and you can tell me if this is generally correct.
Okay.
You know, because our arms are always in front of us and we're always doing pull-ups, I have a bundle almost all the time right around my collarbone, right at my SCM, which is that cord that pops out of your neck and attaches in the front. Yes, when you turn your head. There's usually always a bundle right there on my SCM. There's bundles right around where my lats attach. There's bundles at my pubic bone. There's bundles on the lateral side of my arms. So like on the outside of my arms, around the elbow, always, because of because of all the pull-ups and holding on with the cylindrical grip on a fabric. So she basically goes up and down the lines, fingers, knuckles, elbows, and works out these bundles. And man, I'll probably post a video of me getting work done by Gayle. It's hilarious because I'm dying. And she's just laughing at me. She's just laughing. So it's a pretty like intense hour, but it's also, or longer. But what it does is it releases and creates lubrication and creates glide so that I can move my joints, hopefully pain-free and with full range of motion.
And greater ease. Yeah.
And greater ease. Yeah. Okay. So let's just say, so let's go into the idea of the fascia and what happens when your belly grows and then what happens when you go back to normal. Like what's happening with the fascia?
Like everything else, the fascia is also stretching. Obviously, we know that it's stretching in the front, but with that stretching in the front, how's our strength in the back and our pelvic floor to help lift our load, our bellies up, hold our backs up? Where's the strength? Where's the balance? Okay, so strength is so big with pregnancy to be not in pain. So as everything is stretching, the fascia fiber, like if you think about something that's woven, like think of a fabric where you can kind of really see those fibers crossing every which way. And if you were to really push your hand in that, you can see that, the fascia, the fibers are kind of spreading more. It takes a little bit longer. Fascia is kind of slow to reorganize.
I guess what's its role?
Support and structure. It's what's helping us hold that shape, our shape. And so when we grow and then overstretch it, and then it's all...
I love that that's your characterization of our bellies.
Well, yeah. But it...
Yeah, no, I mean... Yeah.
Right after you give birth, you're you look like you're 3 months pregnant, which is totally normal, because if you were to snap back like that, like within that week or month or whatever, I would be very concerned. Yeah. It
wouldn't make any sense.
But you also
it wouldn't make any sense.
All of our fascial sacs have been pushed and moved and stretched and changed with positioning of the baby in the uterus and that whole rehoming space, that it's really important to go see somebody to get reorganized.
Yeah, I hope to have Dr. Tim on here. Dr. Tim, so I have a dream team here in LA. Gayle is part of it to take care of my body. Dr. Tim is a chiropractor / third coming of Jesus.
I would consider him a visceral therapist.
Yeah, he basically, when I was really struggling with IBS, we found out like my guts were completely twisted in my body over years and years and years of inflammation and terrible episodes. And so he puts me back together where the fascia is now flowing the correct way and it's not twisted around itself. And the thing is with pregnancy is this happens because it's, trying to move. So you have space for the baby. And so it really is important for us to go and find out, I have another student who basically found out that her SI joint has been going in and out. Like it's just causing her so much pain. And then she finds out later that her uterus is still a little bit twisted and it's creating like a unevenness inside. And then your hips are off, everything's off, you feel the pain. Usually for me, if I'm having pain, it's not muscular as much as it's a fascia problem. Mostly. I would say 99% of the pain that I experience from just overuse, it's okay, the muscles probably need a rest and they need a massage and they need some love, but generally it's because the fascia itself is bound so tightly. These bundles that Gayle is talking about is compensatory. So I'm doing this movement like just regular climbing on a fabric where my arms are in front of me, where I'm doing a pull-up, and there are compensatory bundles in my body because of that movement. And those bundles create a chronic pain story in my body. And then when I see Gayle, she is pounding at these compensatory, sharp, crunchy little bundles, getting them to open up, getting them to glide. Therefore, I have more movement through my joints. I have my range of motion. And it's, it puts me in a place where I can go back and do the same process to myself and come back and cry about it again, which is what I do. Okay, Gayle. Can you please talk about the chest? Okay, so this is my current problem. My current problem is that my child is now 22 pounds. She wants to be carried all the time. I pick her up all the time. She's still breastfeeding. My arms are in flexion all the time. My shoulders are rolling forward because I'm holding her and I'm looking down at her. If I don't look at her while she breastfeeds, she gets upset with me. She gets upset with me. So this creates a pattern that is too much for me to unbalance on a regular basis, because it's just a challenge to be like, okay, I know if I do some chest openers and some back extensor exercises just as much as I pick up my baby, I'll probably feel better. But it's just impossible to do, like on a daily basis.
Yeah, as you can clearly tell when you have a child, even when you're pregnant, your chest and your rib cage are changing drastically because your breasts get so much larger and heavier. And then that by itself is causing stress on your upper back and rib cage. And then you got to think also, how much does your rib cage expand, get larger in circumference? And that's going to change the fascia and soft tissue. So now just being pregnant, there you go. All right. So you've got those two things. That's not even including all the aerial stuff that Carrie's put her body through. Okay. So if she comes in with that, I am going to definitely come in and right on the sternum, right in that the hard bone where all the ribs meet, right in between the breast. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to see, okay, what is happening? How is that moving? And I'm going to open you up. I'm going to being careful around some of the breast tissue now because you have milk ducts, because the lymph nodes are so tight in there. Everything's a little more irritable. Being careful opening up the fascia of the chest, coming in, wanting to externally rotate those shoulders because you're constantly internally move. If you take your hands out into a W from your elbows being at your side, that is external rotation. Now, if you think about holding a baby, those hands from the outside are coming inside. Mm-hmm. So that's an internal rotation. And you can see how the shoulder at that point is making the C curve forward, right? So we really need to open that up. But me opening you up is only part of it, because all of the extra stress that's coming from the pulling on the front is causing stretching in the back.
Yep. So I'm weak and tight in the back, and then I'm tight in the front.
And the front of the neck, because you're looking down, right? So really, I mean, as we open you up, then you that's when I think it's good to have that team.
Yeah, and luckily I know enough to do my Pilates and everything so that I can strengthen the rhomboids, strengthen the back extensors, do that work, and try to cross train in a way. But what she does, what I kind of think about when she does this work on me, when Gayle works on me for this chronic problem, imagine there's a string tied around my chest, right where the sternum ends, so the xiphoid process. And she'll basically release the sternum all the way up to my SCM, all the way across into under my boobs, which is incredibly painful, especially like right underneath the nipple. Wow. And then kind of where the lats are, all the way into the back, up the back into the neck, up the head, all the way to the brow. And then also where my eyeglasses sit, because there's a fascial bundle that likes to mess around right there. And then my face into my jawline. And it is so painful, but it's the only thing that really releases and puts me in a place where I can move freely without pain and do what I do for a living. Yeah. And it's very specialized. So Gayle, you're a Stecco method practitioner. For the people out there who are finding this episode anywhere in the world, how can they find a practitioner kind of like this?
They have a lot of information out there. NYU, Luigi Stecco's children, Carla and Antonio Stecco, are these brilliant scientists. They're researchers. They're dissecting, they're fully. Carla Stecco has one of the first fascial anatomy books that's ever been made. So you can look up the Steccos, Stecco. Great.
I'll put it in the show notes, so it's okay. You don't have to.
But there's ways that you could be definitely targeting these places of fascia with manipulation. You can go to like a yoga tune-up or Jill Miller, Tom Miller. Yes.
Oh yeah, the yoga tune-up balls.
Mm-hmm. They now, okay, blowing my mind with how awesome they're bringing this to the public, so that I can send this to my mom who's across the country, and she can help treat herself when I'm not there to help her. She can do stuff at home. So, and it's through Jill Miller and Tom Mayer's.
So it's a different theory that kind of functions in the same way.
Stecco definitely has their own okay, well, this is our method. Anatomy Trains is, hey, I want you to know what fascia is about. I want you to see how it moves and apply whatever method you need to restore that glide. Okay, which I just really appreciate that.
Okay,
and he has a lot of different practitioners on his website for Anatomy Trains at Anatomy Trains, and you can go into practitioners. So yeah, I would look at,
okay, great.
If you can't find Rolfers, right? They're pretty amazing.
Yeah, so Rolfers, if you guys don't really know what that is, that's where years ago they'd be like, "Do you know what a Rolfer is?" And I'd just nod my head to sound smart. And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know."
I guess it depends on who you go to, but they're really getting into it, and they're opening up the body also, looking at how you're curling in. It's just more of a slow entrance stretch. It's a more of a plastic way to get into the fascia versus I'm just complete friction. And you know what? Sometimes you need that. That's sometimes what people's bodies need. So I'm not, a complete Stecco therapist in that sense where I'm just going to do their method. I'm going to do what the body needs to manipulate the fascia.
Yeah, and you've got your other, you've been practicing massage for a very long time. And for the listeners, I actually am a corrective masseuse, and my sensei is based in a Thai method. And in that method, it's all about thumbing, which is taking your thumbs or your elbows or whatever, putting pressure downwards into the ground, into the muscle, and creating a flow throughout a line. So that itself is a completely different structure and technique from Gayle's more frictiony type of structure. I mean, my nerdy brain just exploding with like, wow, how are all these so different? But then they kind of are coming at it differently, but getting the same result, which is getting everything to move, getting the energy to come out of the body, getting the stuckness to come out, getting the energy to flow.
I was going to say, you can always visit Carrie's House of Pain,
Carrie's House of Pain is closed right now. Sadly, I haven't worked on somebody since this pandemic started. And then my sensei is actually in LA now. He used to live in Thailand, but they kicked him out. Like he left, he was not there. And then ever since then, he hasn't been able to go back. So there's that. But okay, so this episode, I feel like the base feeling, the base idea I would love to get across through Gayle's amazing knowledge is that myofascia is such a mysterious thing that people don't really know what it is. And it really is more the reason that we have chronic pain, that we have chronic issues, that we have things that we can't explain. My mom has right hip pain and she got an x-ray and she's got some arthritis and stuff. But then, of course, the doctor, one of their only tools is to give her a cortisone shot to numb it. But it doesn't take care of the source of the issue.
It's important to know that the fascia is not separate anywhere. Like there's this whole thing on fascia embryology, which basically fascia's the gooey stuff is keeping us like in the womb, talking about pregnancy, right? So fascia is so important that it's keeping us structurally sound as a zygote into our brains and nervous systems being developed, to our bones being, created, and then our muscles and all of our joints and all that kind of stuff. And so we grow in this weaving, and we're not separate from it. It's not like our Achilles is separate from the fascia of our back, right? So any of those aponeurosis, we're all one. It's all one thing. So when we have an issue somewhere, we have to, like your mom's hip, like it could be coming from a foot, densifications throughout an entire line. It's not just that. And arthritis is an inflammation, which, the fascia is connecting within, attaching within the bone too. So if that's inflamed, then you have all the nerves and everything around it inflamed. So the pain, fascia is this whole thing, and we don't want to see it as separate. Like we have parts, muscles, stuff that's good to know, but we're all one thing. It's one basic.
Well, and this is such an important thing to understand. Everything is connected. Imagine that you have a bed sheet or a picnic blanket, and you take one corner and you take your hand and you grab it and you pull.
Twist it.
It's creating problems in the entire thing. That is what our fascia is doing all the time. So if you have scar tissue, for example, from a C-section, and your scar is not gliding well, and it's just kind of bunched, then the fascia from there, it's getting pulled down and in, and our entire abdomen can't function at optimally.
And that movement, after, so you have a C-section, it's cut. They've cut through the fascial line. So the fascia itself is trying to reconnect and reorganize. It's not going to be as pretty as, say, the fascia on our glutes, where it's in nice lines. It might look a little bit more felty, where it's crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. But the moment that you don't have the pain there, start moving. The movement is what helps organize the fascia. we have to move in order to organize that fascia. We have to stick our fingers in there and move it to organize this fascia, right? We need those fine twitch movements. We need those big body movements. We need the loads. We need all that kind of stuff. And then hydration also, know this. Hydration, when we talk about hydration of the fascia, it's not about the water that you're drinking so much. It's about how those collagen fibers and how these little like ferny things coming off of those fibers, if the water's getting to those. Because if we can be hydrated, then they're going to unfold, and then we're going to open up more, and we're going to have more movement and ease in movement, right? Fascia does take a long time. So in our society, we have to realize that we need to work on the body schedule, not on this Western colonized form of, I need to be up and running now. No, it doesn't work that way. Our fascial system is like this tension bridge that keeps our bones and everything floating in space without pulling it or whacking it out of place. So if our tension on one side is more, then you're going to feel more pulling and maybe get an adhesion or a subluxation within your spine. Let's just say, for example, right? Or even in your ribs. Let's say if you're working on Carrie's hairography and whipping your head around, we
love it.
Right?
I never did a dance job that didn't have a head roll.
Never. How would you ever?
I've done hundreds of thousands of head rolls.
I know.
We wonder why I have neck pain.
Well, because your fascia has to be like, oh crap, here she goes again. We got to tense in here because we know what she likes to do. So you've just trained your fascia to really tighten up there.
Yep. It's trying to protect me,
your cervical spine doesn't run out of place.
Yeah. And therefore now I have a neck of steel, which is really hard to release.
So.
Yep. So, okay. Now it's making me ask. Okay. So last question. So subluxation. I can't say this word. Say it for me.
Subluxation.
Okay. So it's very common for aerialists to say my rib popped out, and we use that very commonly and casually. Then the ribs can easily kind of go millimeters out. And if it goes out enough, you have shortness of breath. You can't breathe without pain. And then unless a chiropractor puts it back in, you're going to have micro tearing.
Yeah. So that's where it's really important to monitor kind of when you're doing drops and stuff like that. Our fascia is so intelligent that when it hits hard on something, it doesn't break and stuff doesn't move out of place, right? So if you catch a really fast ball, if you do a double star or something and whip at the end, you know what I mean? We can do that without hurting ourselves. But if we're too loosey-goosey and don't have that really nice tension in our body when we are dropping and getting thrashed by these drops or even just the fabric being wrapped around us, you can like you're saying, that balance of that fascia, it needs to have that correct tension. Otherwise, if it's loosey-goosey, it's gonna whoop, oh, that didn't feel good. It's gonna slip, and it can be traumatic, And part of that could be poor stretching beforehand, not active stretching. It could just be dumping into things without being conscious of it. Like we said before, because when you are stretching and really getting in there, the fascia, you're spreading it out, right? You're moving the fibers apart. And so if we're dropping on farther apart fibers, what's gonna happen? So diaphragmatic and pelvic floor relationship and strength is going to be really important for that, also for that tension, especially in the ribs, keeping the ribs.
Oh, yes. Oh, and by the way, I smell a stinky poo-poo.
Poo-poo.
Coming from the bean. She dropped a deuce and she's really happy because it's out.
It's important.
We talked about poop like 3 times in the last hour.
It's good. That's what we got to do.
I feel like you and I always talk about poop. I love this episode. It makes me so
That's good.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Gayle. It's going to be really great for people out there who didn't really know a lot about fascia before now.
Well, thank you for having me, Carrie. I hope that any of this is helpful to your listeners.
And we are thinking of you. I am so excited to see this new like half Minnesotan, quarter Chinese, quarter Japanese little bundle of boy cuteness. Thank you to Asa Watkins for music and post-production. And please give me a 5-star rating and a review anywhere you find your podcast so people can more easily find this community. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the Expecting Aerialist podcast. You want to tell everybody how you're feeling?
Oh,
I can't.
Tell them.
I can't.
Tell them.
I can't.
Hey, so we learned a new word because Mama had a birthday over the weekend.
Why?
Can you tell them how yummy? Can you tell them cake?
Cake.
Did you like the cake?
Cake.
Isn't it amazing? Cake. And she does the and cake. And she also knows how to say toot.
Toot.
Doesn't that make you so happy?
yeah.
Toot.
Toot.
I mean,